everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk about creating homes for adults with disabilities. I'm Dana Hooper, Executive Director of LSA. I'd like to break things down today into three sections. The first is to give an overview of LSA, and with basically what I have in mind is establishing the fact that we're very knowledgeable and expert in this model, and by model I mean adult residential facilities, often referred to as group homes. Then I'm going to talk about what exactly is a facility, and then finish up with what's required to open a community care facility. If you could hold your questions until the end, we should have plenty of time to take them at that point. First of all, LSA has a vision, and it's a very rights-oriented vision that people with developmental disabilities have the right to live life to its fullest, in our community. We believe that our role is to bring exceptional community living and programs for adults with developmental disabilities, again, in the community. And that's what we're focused on. I'd like to play a short video, if you will indulge me. We're so very excited to be celebrating our 20th year anniversary. Our journey began in 2002 when we were founded by Betsy Warner. And this began a journey that has led to the opening of 15 homes in a day program.
After, I guess it was about 5 years before he became a resident here, he was in the day program. And I loved the day program they had. I was part of LSA when we built the first homes. I was there when the first shovel full happened,
Watching LSA go from 3 homes when I first started to now we're up to 15 homes in a day program. We had 30 employees when we first started, and now we're hovering around 200 somewhere.
We needed an LSA home to be a great place to live. We needed to be able to attract, train, and retain the best possible staff. So we needed to make LSA a great place to work.
I see LSA having 35 homes at least. We have 15 homes right now. It is important to keep LSA going because I don't even want to say it's a growing need. It's an urgent need for housing.
LSA is a big family, and from day one, we've all stressed it, and in some of the homes, we have different posters and such that replicate that. We just are known as the LSA family.
Everything. It means everything to us that Katie is in a safe environment where she's happy and thriving. Bob and I are 70 plus, and my biggest fear was that if something happened to either one of us, it would just be too much for the other person to handle on their own. And the other is that if something happened to both of us, would our other two, children have to take on the responsibility of Katie? It just means everything that she is settled.
I guess I would say a caring place. They obviously really care about the residents. We looked for a good number of years before she moved into LSA for some solution, and so we're grateful because there really aren't any other.
Absolutely. The impact that LSA has had on our family has been huge. Not only has it allowed my parents to have more time to themselves and do more things, it's also allowed Kevin to feel more independent. And it's given me something to be proud of Kevin for. Beyond, there are things I was already proud of him for, but it's another thing that's really great that Kevin is doing.
Creating home, changing lives. Not just the life of the person that's moving into one of our homes, But the parents who now don't have that child living with them anymore because they've trusted us to support their child.
I'm so very proud of the differences we've made in people's lives and what we've been able to accomplish as an organization. Every family hopes that their loved one will be living in a forever home. We provide families with that peace of mind that their loved one will be living in a safe and caring environment.
I feel more connected to her through this experience. We can share joy together. And when you lose your partner, as I've done, my late husband was wonderful with her. When we came to LSA and we looked at the plaque on the day that we moved in, they had installed a plaque. And when I saw Joe's name on it, I thought he was an angel and he'd helped us to find this place. It was a miracle, absolutely a miracle in our lives. So it is more than just a little bit better. It is the best. And I have to feel that my late husband was an angel, which somehow brought us here. Had I not gone that day and heard those words, we would have missed this for life. So it's that much better. I love LSA. And Vanessa says every day, I'm happy. And if every day I see her and I ask, what are you happy about? My group home. That's what she says. My group home.
So that's 20 years of impact, and we are in fact celebrating our 20th year this year. This is a brief timeline. Founded in 2002, and we began our journey by opening 3 homes at Rivermark in 2004, and it's brought us to 2021 when we opened our 15th home, Tikva House. The homes are located throughout Santa Clara County. There are different levels, and that will have more meaning when we discuss, community care facilities and the levels that they have that represent. Well, we'll get into that. One of the things that I think we feel really good about is, making a house a real home, and we feel that values are really important way to reflect on, the qualities. We believe in dignity and respect, and we direct this at not just the people we serve, but our employees and their families. We involve people. We believe that we're an active part of something special, and we include participation and collaboration, and we strive to be ever better. And this takes many forms, but it certainly includes investing in both the homes themselves, as well as in the people that work in those homes through training and development. Susan in the video mentioned 200 plus employees. We also mentioned that, one of our goals is for it to frankly be a great place to live, and we work hard towards that goal. And secondly, in order to be able to do that, we have to make it a great place to work and attract good people and encourage families to be involved. We have a day program, and it's a community-based day program. Is in sync really with the way we run the homes, that to be a meaningful part of the community, you have to be involved and out in the community. We also worked hard to build capacity, and this is where the whole notion of adding homes comes in. Typically, there and the LSA approach, they're a community care facility targeting, 5 residents with 5 bedrooms. They're licensed and they provide a full service place to live, food and support 24/7. And we've had a goal of adding a house per year. And in order to do that, we've had to raise capital to do that. And individuals are placed within our homes through the regional center. So what is a community care facility? Well, kind of back up a second, there's 3 basic models, and these are all really housing models. You can live at home, or you can live in your own place, or you can live in a place. In this case, a community care facility, which are often referred to as a group home. If you live in your own place, you typically will receive some support, supported living or independent living. Or if you live in your home, there's also some supports and programs that are available. But it boils down to basically 3 choices. When you get into a group setting, there are some different models and flavors that have been developed. Some might be farm or ranch oriented, or they could be what's called intentional communities. But we're just going to focus on the community care facility as a representative of a facility where there would be multiple people living together. So community care facilities, first of all, they are home 24/7. So it includes 24-hour-a-day residential support. These homes are licensed by the state of California, specifically by community care licensing, and they're governed by fairly extensive regulations. The providers of these homes are vendored by the regional center, and that's the means by which they're paid. And they come in different levels and types, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. They typically are limited in the number of residents, 4 to 6 per facility. The service provider has to control the facility. So it's a prerequisite for being licensed. The service rate that is paid by the regional center through that vendorization process covers rent, covers food, covers support and services for residents. So it's a full complement. As I mentioned, 24/7 staffing. Typically residents do go out during the day to work or to go to a day program. Providers can be for-profit or nonprofit. In case of LSA is a not-for-profit service provider. Service levels themselves essentially reflect the differing needs of residents. And I like to think of it in terms of how much help do you need with daily living? How much help do you need getting around? Or, how ambulatory are you? As well as how much help do you need staying healthy and safe? And in order to be able to accommodate different levels of need, homes have a different level, and those levels reflect different rates and different levels of staffing and consulting hours. Additional funding is available, beyond provider rates if there's a health and safety waiver that's granted. So even in a group home setting, someone might need one-to-one support, or they might file a health and safety waiver because of a need for more services or a higher rate. Some of the different flavors of homes, adult residential facilities. This is one of the most prevalent categories, and 10 of our 15 homes are adult residential facilities of different levels. Another category is residential care facilities for the elderly, RCFEs. Actually, several of our facilities are further designated as for elderly. Enhanced behavioral support homes, community care crisis homes, and finally, adult residential facilities for persons with special healthcare needs. These are also sometimes referred to as 962 homes. We have 5 of these homes. So each of these categories is different. I'm sorry, within sorry about that. I hit my mouse by mistake. So within the level 4 homes, it's subdivided into different levels, 4A through 4I, and each of these levels has a different staffing level, and it corresponds to an escalating severity of need, with the 4I being the highest level. Just to contrast this with supported living, which would be typically the way in which somebody would be supported if they lived in their own place, is supported living, it really started out as a one person model, and it assumes that the individual has their own place, and they pay for their own rent and food, and it basically is a support model, and the supported living agency provides the level of support that's agreed upon in the IEP meeting. But this contrasts them and provides a little more detail on how those models differ. People ask me, so, what are the pros and cons? Well, I think the biggest pro for living in a group setting is it gives you more opportunities for socialization at home, both with staff and with the people you live with. And working with others, it is instrumental in helping build your own skills of independence. It's definitely a home-like environment, and in our case, we work very hard to make it a very family-oriented environment. And there's a lot of built-in support and oversight that you might not get in supported living. The biggest con is there's sharing of resources. There's a finite number of staff and vehicles, and therefore individuals have to work together and not always get a chance to determine their own schedule 24 hours a day. That's a kind of typical sharing of resources that we're all used to in whatever home we live. People also, ask, well, what should I be thinking about? And again, from a family standpoint, you got to ask this question: is this model the best model for my loved one? And that, bringing the knowledge you have of that loved one to the equation. And of course, within this kind of a structure, what's the most appropriate program and level, and which providers have openings, and can I see the program? Most people come to the early conclusion that that capacity is limited, and it's limited because there's been a constraint on adding this kind of capacity, and it's been rate driven. So they often end up asking that question to me, well, how can I create new home capacity? This sounds like would be a great place for my son or daughter to live. And that kind of, brings me to the last one, which is if you're thinking of choosing a provider, so here's some questions you should be asking yourself is, what is the quality of their homes and programs, and how can I understand that? Have they demonstrated that they have adequate financial resources, and that there will be hopefully stable going into the future? How involved are their residents in the community, and what do they mean when they say they're involved? Do they want family involvement? And how do they manifest and encourage and that kind of involvement? And of course, what kind of track record do they have? So, in cases where somebody presses me and says, well, gosh, well, what does it take to open one of these homes? Well, to answer that, I'm going to talk about, 5 or 6 different areas. One is the home itself. The second is getting a license to operate. And the third is, what do I have to do to get ready to open? And final is regional center approval to be a vendor. And of course, how much time and resources does it take to do this? Opening a home, you gotta acquire the home. It doesn't have to be owned. It could be leased, but you do need to show control. And of course, you'll want to be prepared to renovate the home so that it is as accessible and inclusive a place to live as you would want. To get a license, you have to submit an application and revisions. It would scare me, but the application is 400 pages long or so when everything is included. You need to find and appoint a qualified administrator early on in the process. The facilities and the grounds need to be inspected and approved by both licensing and a fire marshal. Getting ready to open, we often talk about shopping till we drop. You're going to fill a house with everything that you need, and you have to do this before anybody moves in. You have to find the right consultants. You have to recruit staff. You have to train them, and it takes somewhere between 8 and 12 full-time equivalents. So full-time employees to operate that house. And in this day and age, recruiting and training staff at the wage rates that we can afford to pay has been challenging. Finally, getting vendorized for the regional center means submitting a program design and then having all of the structural things in place, insurance, but mostly it means having a program design. The regional center needs to approve your administrator, and you need to complete that process to the point where you receive vendorization. At that point, the regional center assigns a facility liaison, and that's somebody who is the kind of the point of contact with the home, and regional center service coordinators, begin the process of referring potential residents to the facility liaison who screens them and passes them along as appropriate to the vendor. And then the vendor goes through a placement process that includes, getting to know the facility, and the facility getting to know the family and the individual that's been referred for placement. And that leads to the first resident being placed. From this point, 6 to 12 months minimum has transpired, and so all of the expenses need to be borne during that. Licensing requires you to have working capital of 3 months, and depending on how well you run, ongoing deficits are possible. The timeline, can, as I mentioned before, can be more than a year between the purchasing of the home and the final resident moving in. So it can be a relatively expensive process from a resource standpoint, as well as a process that takes time. And it's usually by this point that someone says, wow, I think I'm going to leave that to you, Dana, and LSA, because that's quite an extensive process to then open a home that needs to be run every day, and hopefully will continue to be there as a forever home to the individuals who move into it. So that's kind of when we often have a discussion about other ways that they might contribute towards building capacity. But at the end of the day, it's a need that is there in the community, and the more we can work together to open additional homes, the better off we will be in terms of being able to serve this community of individuals with developmental disabilities.